I would like to now introduce to you our three winners of the statewide essay contest. The judges had many excellent essays to choose from, and these three selections rose to the top. The essays were written about Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. When I call your name, would you please come up and stand by me? First, I'd like to have Ariya Roberts. Ariya is a first place winner, and Ariya is an 8th grade student at Casey Middle School in the Williamsville School District in Erie County. Ariya is here this evening with her mom, Sujatha, and her brothers, Kathan and Bhaskar. Thank you. I am going to read a brief piece from each of our essay winners, and from Ariya's, I'm going to read her opening paragraph. Equality has long been a struggle for African Americans. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee describes this struggle through the eyes of a young girl using her innocence to expose an issue that is both simple and complex at the same time. In the story, Atticus Finch defies societal customs and expectations by defending an African American man who is accused of a violent crime. Atticus Finch challenges racism and discrimination not by protesting or activism, but simply by doing his job and living his life. So I present to you our first winner this evening, Ariya Roberts. Our second winner tonight is Della Knapp. Della. Della is from Williamsville, New York, in Erie County, and is an 8th grade student at the Hine Middle School in the Williamsville Central School District. Della is here this evening with her parents, Jamie and Philip. And let me read a little bit from you. I'm also going to read Della's opening paragraph. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird tells a story of controversy and strength. Specifically, one man's courage to take a stand against the forces of racism and discrimination. This book is about Atticus Finch's attempt, through Tom Robinson's trial, to protect the due process of law and the basic civil rights, especially the right to a fair trial by jury. The message affects many people's lives, including mine, and touches everyone in a different way. So, congratulations. Our third award goes to Kristal Grindley. Kristal is from the Wheatley Heights, New York. She's from Wheatley Heights, New York, and is an 8th grade student at the Milton L. Olive Middle School in the Wyandotte School District. She's here this evening with her parents, Sabrina and Dave. I would like to read now a brief excerpt from Kristal's paper. And from Kristal, I'm going to read her closing paragraph. To Kill a Mockingbird is about growing up with racism, discrimination, and deciding whether or not to follow the crowd. This book was written over 50 years ago, yet, sadly, racism and other forms of discrimination still exist. As an African American and a girl, this is appalling to me on so many levels. I believe with the right support and the resources, anyone can stand up against inequality like Atticus. Congratulations.
Well, I had a delightful dinner because I was speaking to 3 unusual ladies, all of whom you saw up here, and the topic was books. And we covered the waterfront, Harry Potter, and To Kill a Mockingbird, and To Catch Her in the Rye, Twilight, Hunger Games, and they had a lot of really interesting insights into these books. And it was also quite, to me, as a former high school English teacher, I was very pleased to see that their taste was not all the same. In other words, they didn't all agree as 8th graders that this was a good book. Or they didn't all agree as young women that this was a good book. They have developed their own tastes in reading. They have their own standards in reading. They expect certain things from authors. And that critical sense is really important to develop in readers. so that they can tell a good book from a bad book, and a book that's worth committing to your heart, and another book that's worth laying aside and saying, I don't believe it, or that's not for me. Speaking of not believing it, while we were downstairs, I happened to see an artistic rendering on the wall of the gate over the Dachau concentration camp, which says, Arbeit macht frei. Forgive my German, but it means work will make you free. Don't believe it. It's a lie. It's a lie that despots and tyrants tell. It's one of many lies. The implication is that you can earn approval or be found worthy as a human being according to certain criteria. That you can be found worthy because of your faith, or you can be found worthy because of your gender, or you can work yourself into a state of being acceptable. All human beings are acceptable. The only thing that will make us free and keep us free is justice. And this is one of the reasons that To Kill a Mockingbird is still read 50 years after its publication. Why 100,000 young people a year read it. Why it's required in 2/3 of American high schools. First of all, it's just a good story. There will always be a place on library shelves for a good novel where you can enter into the lives of the characters and care what happens to them. Secondly, we read it because it deals with one of the most important human questions that we all have to deal with, which is how to get along with people who are different from us. And as Scout finds out at the end, you don't just merely tolerate people, you don't merely just put up with people, but you advocate for them and you befriend them. You see them as not the other, but as a fellow human being who deserves your respect. In the very last page of To Kill a Mockingbird, Scout stands on Boo Radley's porch and says, I never saw my street from this perspective. And that is a metaphor for this is how Boo sees the world, even though you live on the same block. How he sees the world and how you see the world may not be the same, but this is your community. This is your neighborhood. The sun comes up on this street at the same time every day for the both of you. And the third and final reason why To Kill a Mockingbird is still taught is because of this. Like all great literature, To Kill a Mockingbird reads you as you read it. In other words, it asks you, could you do this? Could you be an Atticus? If people told you that your children were going to be ridiculed at school because of a stand you were taking, would you still do it? If your brother came to you and said, you don't have to take this case. This career isn't going to do you any good. Think about what it's going to do to our family. Could you still do it? There are Atticuses everywhere. There are Atticuses on school boards. There are volunteer firefighters. There are teachers, nurses, veterinary assistants, all kinds of people in every walk of life who do the heavy lifting for the rest of us because they stand up when they see that something is wrong. And they may not use the same word, but what they care about is justice. And we can become part of that family of people who seek justice by extending it to others in our everyday lives, to treating people all the same way, to giving them all the same kind of respect, even if we don't receive it in return. Nevertheless, we can be champions of justice, just like Atticus Finch. So don't believe that sign down there, work will make you free. It's a lie, and despots will tell it. Only believe that justice for all people is the only true thing.